Now, in an exclusive news break, CNN News 18 has also learned that Red Fort suspects planned Pulwama-like attack in Kashmir. However, the arrest forced this change of plan that we've been discussing as well. They had planned a Pulwama-like attack. However, the arrests leading up to this blast is what forced this change of plan. Intelligence sources have also detailed the plot. The core team included 5 people. We're talking about Umar, who was the bomber, also behind the wheels of the I-20. Then cleric Maulvi, who was apparently radicalizing all of these doctors, Dr. Adil Rathar and Muzammil Shakil, and Dr. Shaheen as well. The source said that Irfan's job was indoctrination, while Umar was the executioner. The source said several calls for the cleric have been traced to Afghanistan in the last 2 months, while phone data of operative Muzaffar shows links to Pakistan and Afghanistan. This is what we're learning at the moment. So the core team included 5 people. We're talking about Umar, who was the bomber. This has been confirmed by the DNA samples as well, and he was also confirmed to be behind the wheels of the Hyundai I-20. Then we're talking about cleric Maulvi Irfan, who is a very, very crucial link in this entire web, Dr. Adil Rathar and Muzammil Shakil, and Dr. Shaheen as well, who was also apparently the financier of this entire terror network. Now, for more on this, we're going across to Anand Narasimhan. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, the more we look into it, the more we see how much this web had deepened and festered.
Yes, Hem, and good afternoon to our viewers. The big story in this is that they were planning a Pulwama-style car ramming into security forces or into civilian establishments in Jammu and Kashmir. It was the arrests that forced them to change tack. Now, there are records of these people, the bomber and Maulvi Irfan, doctors Adil Rathar and Muzammil Shakil, and this lady, that's what we are given to understand now, Shaheen Shahid, who were part of this entire core team. This was 5 people, including Umar Nabi, the bomber at Delhi Red Fort. Now, what we are given to understand is that Muzammil, the woman financed Muzammil as she was his girlfriend, but we are not sure how involved she was. So, is this Dr. Shaheen, or was it another lady who's now been taken into detention in Jammu and Kashmir? The important part is that Adil's brother Muzaffar, who fled to Afghanistan, and Amir, who bought the car, they are also now being investigated. Now, how did they work? There are 3 handlers, including Ukasa and Hashim. Of these, Ukasa and the unnamed handler are Kashmiri but claim to be in Afghanistan. There are also claims about Hashim that sometimes he's in Afghanistan or in Pakistan. Now, what's also happened is there is confirmation with the passport stamps that Muzammil, Muzaffar and Umar Nabi, they actually traveled to Turkey in 2022. Who they met, what they did there, we do not know, we cannot confirm, but they did travel. The 3 actually wanted to move to Afghanistan, but they were not able to do. Now, what is this Afghanistan connection? The Afghanistan connection is Nangarhar region, where the Jaish has its training camps. This is the Jaish-e-Mohammed connection that is now once again coming to the fore, because earlier we have reported that Maulvi Irfan, via VoIP and other VPN platforms, was in touch with handlers operating out of the Nangarhar province in Afghanistan, where the Jaish has its camps. So Bahawalpur is its headquarters, but the training camps, because of the FATF strictures and sanctions, were moved to this Nangarhar province just on the other side of the Pak border to keep them there and escape FATF strictures and censure. So that's another development. There is also a Syrian refugee who was in touch with one of the handlers. His name is Ukasa, who took care of the trio. And the 3 came and stayed for 15-20 days and then went back. Now, this is their stay in Turkey. But what they had actually planned is that they will orchestrate a car bomb or a similar to Pulwama style attack in Jammu and Kashmir. They wanted to redo that, but when this series of arrests happened, They then had to recalibrate. There is on record now that Adil actually around the end of October, early November, traveled from Delhi to Jammu, traveled from Jammu to Delhi, and from Delhi he went to Saharanpur around the 1st of November. So this movement and moving away from Jammu and Kashmir and recalibrating happened because there were arrests that had happened between the 17th and the 25th of October, when those posters of the Jaish were there and some of these OGWs had been caught, and from there they had stumbled upon Maulvi Irfan and Adil, etc. Now sources say that they also wanted to execute the plan with the help of an explosive-laden car and fuel oil, exactly like it had been planned in Pulwama. And Umar Nabi, who had always shown Fidain kind of bent and perhaps was the most ideologically radicalized, he was the one who was ready to become the executioner. That means he would be the one driving the vehicle and eventually giving perhaps, let's say, eventuality and actualize or formalize this entire Fidain attack or suicide attack. But they were planning to do something like this in Jammu and Kashmir. It unfortunately then was thwarted, or fortunately was thwarted, and they caught them all except for Umar Nabi, who then went ahead and in haste triggered this entire bomb at Red Fort, outside Red Fort.
Right, of course, it was the timely intervention of all of the agencies that really thwarted these plans, and then we saw what happened at Red Fort as well. And this is when the bomb was not even fully developed. But of course, one thing that's really stuck out in this entire case is the urban center nature and the white collar nature of this entire operation. But would you say, now that we're learning more of these details, that it is really very different from the more commonplace militant structures?
Yes. One of the things which is a concern is that Maulvi Irfan has been grooming these people for a long time. Irfan was actually a paramedic at the Government Medical College in Srinagar in 2018-2019. This was the time where this entire Ansar Ghazwatul Hind, chronic stole pelting, all of this was going on in 16, 17, 18, and he was in GMC Srinagar at that time. This is the time when a lot of these people, including Muzammil, Adil, Umar Nabi, Shaheen and some of the others, they came there as students. In fact, those students from Dhaka Medical College who are also now being detained came to Srinagar, GMC Srinagar for internship. And that's where this is taken place in the sense that Irfan came into contact with them, started grooming them slowly, gradually. Then he quit his job, quit as a paramedic at GMC Srinagar, and he moved to Naugam as a Maulvi to a mosque in Naugam. He continued to stay in touch with all of these people, continued feeding them vitriol and also JEM sent literature, which had a lot of the Taliban style sermons, etc., and what needed to be done. This was all from the time that the Taliban were up at arms against the West, etc. And those videos were frequently sent, skewed narratives about persecution or said persecution of Muslims in Hindustan and the need for Ghazwa-e-Hind and that entire module and that entire ideological narrative. All of that was fed to these people. And somewhere it looks like 22, 23, 24 or 23, 24, that's where they had decided that they needed to do something far more than just push ideologically grooming individuals. They started opening up this entire module, 5 people core to this module, where they would spread out beyond Jammu and Kashmir and start radicalizing more people who would be smart, educated professionals who could hide in plain sight, but mentally they were deeply radicalized. And this grooming was going on for a while. It starts with Maulvi Irfan, but the others were also, after being groomed, were responsible for grooming others. We've got news that Adil was wanting to set up a radicalization hub or center or grooming hub or center in Saharanpur. Shaheen was supposed to be the woman front of the woman jihad grouping. So all of this is now slowly unfolding, and one understands that they were trying to seed this and spread it across Pan Bharat, actualize one incident, and then use that to motivate many others to try and create a series of incidents that would destabilize Bharat internally.
Right, absolutely. And this only further strengthens the JEM link that we have been seeing, the evidentiary support for it, in fact. And at the center of it is, if you may call it that, the epicenter of this terror is really the Al Falah University. And we're seeing this MAU link from that as well. There's no accreditation. We were hearing the press briefing that was just being held, the questions that were being asked to the faculty members. Some of them saying that they will take police verifications more seriously, and they'll be more vigilant about it as well. So the web is really spread out.
Yes, it has. It has really spread out, and one can also understand and see how carefully this modus operandi, they have the luxury of time. They are not in a haste, to our viewers and also him. We must understand this has been planned, plotted over a period of time. It's taken about 8 to 10 years to groom these individuals and to keep them so highly motivated that they continue on with their daily lives and their daily routine. And as doctors, they practice the Hippocratic Oath and then save lives. But as radicalized individuals, they are planning for mass destruction. And this destruction is against the Hindu society. Let's not make any bones out of it. They were going to target, even in Jammu and Kashmir, they would have targeted a tourist destination or a Pulwama-style attack where they would have targeted the security forces. So this is all supposed to be seen as the government and against the government of Hindustan. So this entire aspect, and in fact literature, what they have been speaking about, their posts, all talk about a very Islamist thought process which rejects the inclusive ethos of a Hindu society or a society of Bharat, and says that Hindus need to be wiped out. Now, this kind of a bigoted line was something that was parroted by Asim Munir not so long ago. This is the same line that's been told by Rauf Asghar and Masood Azhar. Masood Azhar spoke about grooming women to start radicalizing other women and to try and bring them together and women to be used very actively not so long ago. The same thing is manifest with Shaheen Shahid. So they are practicing this over a period of time, and they are saying we will bide our time. We will be quiet, we'll bide our time, and we'll accumulate. Imagine collecting 3 tons of urea or ammonium nitrate is not easy. To get nearly 3,000 kilograms of this and not arouse suspicion and hoard all of it quietly, that means it's being done over a period of time, not in haste. But their plans were disrupted because the security agencies stumbled upon the poster, and from there on got hot on their heels, and Jammu and Kashmir police, Haryana police making these arrests and stumbling upon, and then they suddenly realized that years of work was coming to a knot, because in a few days the agencies were able to grab a lot of or nab a lot of these people who had been plotting this over many years.
Absolutely, Asim Munir's guttural, albeit baseless assertions that Kashmir is the jugular vein of Pakistan and all the inflammatory statements that we see coming out of there. Also, I would like to mention that very conveniently, the website of the Al Falah University was taken by the website administrator as well. Another very interesting development, I would say.
Yes. So Al Falah University, that's a separate investigation, and we'll do a deep dive. How is it, there are many questions around this Al Falah University. How is it that entities who had been dismissed from service for working against the state in Jammu and Kashmir found employment at Al Falah? How is it that the Al Falah University does not say anything? This university itself, the founders, their background itself is dodgy and dubious. They escaped from Mao after a chit fund scam, and did they use that money to create this university? Who has given them recognition? Are their accreditations even valid? How is it nobody was the wiser? And now building number 13, were there labs used to create and test by these doctors? And did the university not know, or did they look the other way? Why are their antecedents not checked? How is it that this red breeza has been now found in the university campus? Can the university very conveniently disassociate themselves from the faculty and the people who are actually part of the university? These are all questions, and they merit deeper investigation. But one must understand that there are entities, highly radicalized white-collar terrorists and white-collar radicals who are hiding in plain sight all around us. So do we start looking at everybody with suspicion, or should the citizenry and the people now be careful and be watchful and call out anybody and everybody who acts dubiously against the interests of Bharat? That's a larger question, Haim. But imagine their travel to Turkey was in 2022. Their actualization and their preparation has happened at least from 2022 to 2025 when this incident has happened 10-11 in November. So they were preparing for a long time, and they were building up to this slowly, gradually, and that shows that the adversary is willing to wait, and no matter what, Operation Sindoor or otherwise, no matter what happens, ideologically and in terms of their thinking, they are far gone. They are highly radicalized, they are highly motivated, and they will continue to try and find people whom they can groom to act against Bharat and Bharat's interests.
Right, of course, I believe just given the sheer amount of explosives that were required in these raids, that has given us clues as to the logistical sophistication of this entire module. That being said, we had also received this input yesterday that doctors had received foreign remittances to digital wallets from Istanbul and Doha between 2023 and 2024. Again, gives us clues as to how long they'd been planning this. We have more